Well, I never, of course, I want to tell you, I've been in this business a long, long time, longer than probably most of your guests, but I can't predict anything, Danielle, at all. But I can tell you this, okay? You always have, you, every so often, 8, 10 years, you have a generational bear market. Well, we haven't had one. We've gone longer than normal since 2010 without one. But bear markets don't really crash particularly. They just roll over real slowly for 3 or 4 or 5 months, and then they pick up steam over time. That's why people can't see it. They're just sort of drifting off. And then the last part of that bear market is when it gets really nasty. That's when you lose 2/3 of the value. And so right now, I guess, I'm beginning to think about a new book I'm going to write, particularly about people over 60 or 65. They have too much of their net worth in the stock market. I mean, we have 75, 80-year-old people come to our website, and they've got 90% in the stock market. I'm like, hey, we're not going to take your account, okay? Because I know what's going to happen to you. And it's that they're not set up well for that age group, see? And they don't think they're going to get sick, but we know they are. They don't think they're going to get old or any health problem.
Yeah.
So many things factor in, but right now, the over 65 group has way too much stock, and the name of that book's going to be, I already have the name, it's called Asleep at the Wheel. Because
Nice.
I think they are. I think they're not thinking correctly. Well, we own gold in 2 of our 3 strategies. We only have 3 strategies. We own gold. I think people get the wrong impression about gold. They think, well, I want to buy it because it's going to go up, and it does go up over time. I don't care what, you pick a time frame and it'll go up. It doesn't always go up. It'll have periods where it comes off some, goes flat for a while. But in general, it goes up, and it's the oldest really true money in the world. And I think I tell people, look at it like this. I said, just pick some period. Go back and pick it. I usually use 20 years ago what it cost to buy a normal home and how much gold took to buy that home. And I say, okay, now take a normal home today, 20 years later, and how much of that gold does it take to buy that home now, which is the gold dwarfs it, okay? And so my point of that is gold is one of those silent things that you should own, but don't think about it so much. Just own it, and don't try to guess it or what. Now we do trade the miners. We will trade those back and forth, but not the bullion.
Not the physical gold.
Right.
And that brings up the bigger point of the devaluation of money, of our dollar.
Yeah.
And, I find that some people I talk to just can't see the end of the dollar. They don't believe in the death of the dollar. And to your point, they just don't see how their money is dying in the banks. I mean, how do you get people to understand that in a very matter-of-fact, simple way?
Well, first of all, I can show them a graph of the dollar value, and it will choke them because it's gone down all the time forever. But the other thing that's happening, and I'll show them this, is that it's a different game today. A lot of the countries in the world do not want to own the dollar anymore. In fact, they're shedding the dollar and owning gold. And if you look at the BRICS group, right now, which includes Iran, I mean, they don't want to own any dollar. They want to own gold right now. And that's starting to really show up. And I think, believe me, I'm a total capitalist. I'm a big patriotic person. However, I think the empire days of the U.S. are waning. And if that's the case, you definitely want to own some gold, because you need something that, can surpass all of this other stuff. And I think that's what people need to keep in mind. And then the last part of that bear market is when it gets really nasty. That's when you lose 2/3 of the value. And so right now, I guess, I'm beginning to think about a new book I'm going to write, particularly about people over 60 or 65. They have too much of their net worth in the stock market. I mean, We have 75, 80
Every
year old
reserve currency that has faced sustained debasement eventually lost its anchor function, and the populations that held it exclusively paid the price in purchasing power, not just portfolio value. What you are about to hear is not a gold sales pitch. It is a risk management argument from someone who has watched bear markets develop slowly, then violently, then irreversibly. Pay attention to the timeline he gives for the final phase, because that is where most retail portfolios are destroyed. The bear market mechanics he describes are precise and historically accurate. The 1973-74 equity drawdown unfolded over 22 months before delivering its worst losses in the final quarter. The 2000-2002 dot-com collapse followed the same pattern, slow drift. Then a 49.1% terminal decline concentrated in the last leg. His point about the 6-5 and older cohort carrying 90% equity exposure is not anecdotal. Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances data confirms that a significant portion of pre-retirees remain structurally overweight equities deep into their retirement window. The real question is not whether a correction comes, it is whether that cohort has anything left to absorb it. The gold-to-housing ratio argument he uses is one of the cleanest long-term valuation tools available. In 2000, the median U.S. home required approximately 500 ounces of gold to purchase. By 2024, that figure had fallen to roughly 180 ounces, meaning gold gained purchasing power against real assets even as dollar-denominated prices climbed. Central bank reserve data confirms the structural shift he references. Global central banks net purchased 1,037 tons of gold in 2023 alone, the second highest annual total on record. BRICS-aligned nations are not speculating. They are repositioning reserve architecture in a way that has not been seen since Bretton Woods collapsed in 1971. The real risk is not holding gold during a period of dollar stability. The real risk is being on the sidelines in physical assets when the final leg of dollar devaluation accelerates, because that phase, by historical precedent, is fast, concentrated, and unforgiving.